My name is Adam George Fournier. I am the bar director here at Accomplice Bar in Little Fatty. Been a bartender, bar director here in Los Angeles for 15 plus years. Started here on the west side. I ran a place called Ariel for about 5 years down on Main Street in Santa Monica, is where I cut my teeth here in Los Angeles. But been very fortunate then to go on and run some of the best restaurants and work with some of the best people in the city, including Faith and Flower in downtown LA, helped open Scopa, Old Lightning, the Chestnut Club, got recruited to be one of the opening bar managers for Nomad Los Angeles, worked with a Michelin recognized restaurant called Fellow over in Westwood, and I was very fortunate before this job to be the very first ever bar director for Wolfgang Puck's Spago in Beverly Hills. So had a lot of fun changing cocktails all over this city for the past 15 years. I think when it comes to my style for creating cocktails, it is very much driven by the fact that I came up as a bartender in Los Angeles. It's very culinarily and farmers market driven. We're very fortunate here, especially in Los Angeles, to have some of the best produce in the world. So when you have those great ingredients, you have this opportunity to really let those shine through. And then I've also been very fortunate to work in really high-end restaurant bars for most of my career, working with the chefs at the Nomad and Spago and Fellow. You know, I've absorbed all these culinary techniques to be able to apply that to that produce and those foods to create something that's familiar, but something that you're probably not going to be able to make at home most of the time. You'll be able to make something like it, but I'm giving you a reason to come here because the way we're making it is giving it just a little extra bit of love. What inspires me from menu to menu is storytelling. I am a trained Shakespearean actor, which explains perfectly why I've been a bartender for the vast majority of my life. And telling stories is what I really, really love. So when I'm putting together a menu, it's what is the story of the restaurant or the bar that we're telling? Is it all cohesive? Is it syncing up with the story the kitchen's telling? And then on top of that, is there something interesting that we can create to tell a new story to go along with it? For instance, right now, the menu that we just launched here at Accomplice is the Accomplice Guide. It's an old school Thomas guide to Los Angeles. For anyone born before the internet, the Thomas Guide is a map that lived in your car to help you get around the city before Google Maps. Accomplice at its heart is a neighborhood bar. And it came out of this conversation of how do you create a neighborhood menu without just doing neighborhood names? Dove into the history of Los Angeles, found historic neighborhoods, and drew inspiration to create cocktails out of those neighborhoods, both from where they started and where they've evolved into now. And now you have a guide that's not just a guide to cocktails, but a love letter and a guide to Los Angeles and its neighborhoods, which continues the story of the neighborhood bar. Little Fatty and Accomplice is in Mar Vista. If you're looking at the ocean, at Venice Beach, drive inland straight up Venice Boulevard, you're gonna hit Mar Vista. Honestly, this was my local for a really long time. Accomplice and Little Fatty opened while I was running Ariel nearly a decade ago. It's a place that you've literally watched be a part of the DNA of this neighborhood. It started as one small kitchen and one bar, and then got so big it took over the space next door, so expanded to have a larger bar, and then over the past couple of years took over the local Mar Vista market to turn that into Fatty Mart. That's a commissary food hall, beer and wine, packaged goods store. So it's kind of built this little community on this corner here in Mar Vista, which is also this site right outside of us of the Mar Vista's Farmers Market, which I will argue is a better farmers market than the Santa Monica Farmers Market. Accomplice has been recognized as a great cocktail bar long before I got here. And my goal and hope is to just keep that going, keep that recognition going, give the people who have been coming here for maybe 10 years a reason to keep coming back, and then create new regulars that want to come here for hopefully the next 5 to 10 years when they come in because they heard about it was such a great place when they drove out here to the beach from the east side. Little Fatty is Taiwanese soul food. It is the brainchild of Chef David Kou. Little Fatty was his nickname growing up, and what he really wanted to create was a restaurant that brought all those memories of going to Taiwanese restaurants as a kid to a greater public. And he is a phenomenal chef. You know, he used to work in Michelin star kitchens and really built this little mini empire that is really exactly what it says on the tin. Really good soul food with his childhood inspiration. Accomplice Bar inside Little Fatty has had a lot of heavy hitters as bar directors over its 10 years of life. Keeping that through line of regulars who've been coming in for so long happy while encouraging new folks, as there's been so many people and personalities coming in with big change, is always a challenge. The way that I always approach it is is going back to that storytelling, that conversation. It's listening to what the story is before trying to change it. I've been very fortunate to be involved in a lot of places here in Los Angeles, beyond just being involved in big names, but that's being someone who comes in with the challenge of kind of, I don't want to say updating, but like a refresh, being the person who's tasked with, we want something to change, you make that change happen. And the way to do that is to listen first and foremost to your guests and what they're asking for on a day-to-day basis. You start looking at the menu that's there and go, well, what are people asking for? What are they diving into? And then listening to the story that's coming out of your staff and your kitchen, the people you're working with. What story are they interested in telling? Because the moment your staff, your bartenders, your cooks, your servers, hell, even your runners, the moment they're interested in telling the story, the guests get excited. Because really what guests are looking for when they're coming in is they're looking for an experience. I used to call it the you put on pants philosophy. It's you got up off your couch, you put on pants, and you came out to the bar with me tonight. No matter what happens at this point forward, you're spending more money than if you had just bought a bottle of Jack Daniels and sat on your couch to watch, reruns on TV. So how do I make that time that you put into all this worthwhile? And that's where that little extra comes from. Because if you left the house, you're looking for a good time. So having that story to tell them encourages them, makes them feel like they're in the right hands. But then you have to have the flavor, the technique, and the product to back that up. At the end of the day, flavor is king. If it's not good, doesn't matter what you're telling people. If you're fortunate like me to work with really good kitchens, half my job's already done because even if the drink was terrible, well, the food was good. So my job then is to make sure that my drinks are as good as the food. And then how do we take it beyond that? The cocktails you'd find here at Accomplice are very culinarily, seasonally driven. I am at my heart a huge nerd. What keeps me interested is learning new techniques, trying out new things. I've learned how to do so many things in the kitchen because I was trying to figure out how to make it work for a cocktail, like making meringues or clarification techniques or things like that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I do believe those techniques need to serve the drink and the experience. Any technique that is done for technique alone ultimately makes it a bad drink. If the drink doesn't taste good, doesn't matter what technique you did for it. Sometimes those techniques are for us as bartenders, not necessarily for the guests. And what I mean by that is they allow us to make a more interesting cocktail, but it shouldn't be how we lead about that drink. The drink should still be, well, what do you like to drink? You're looking for something light and refreshing? Fantastic. This is the effervescent cocktail I have for it. And then when they come back to you later, like, this drink's so awesome, how'd you make it? Then we can talk about the stuff that went on in the kitchen. Right now, it says the Accomplice Guide, so they're all themed after different historic neighborhoods of Los Angeles. And the idea there is to give kind of a tour of the culture of Los Angeles without having to leave your bar seat. That's, I think, kind of the story we're trying to tell with the menu right now is be proud of Mar Vista, be proud of the fact that you have something that could compete technically on a national or global level with those kinds of ideas, while still feeling exactly like your neighborhood bar. The idea of intentionality behind the techniques is, I think, what has changed so much about molecular gastronomy over the past 10 years. People love a magic trick. They want to be fooled. They don't necessarily want to know how the sausage was made. The moment you know how it's done, it kind of loses a little bit of that joy. So there is joy to be had in just a simple trick, flash of light. But how much more impressive is it when they tell that story that goes along with it, that you willingly buy into being fooled, that you don't want to know because you just had such a great time. And that difference is the intent of the use of the technique. You can use flash paper to distract, or you can use flash paper to tell the story of a raging inferno. Like, that's where it comes down to. I think people can tell the difference, and I think that there is a place for both. But again, it's about the story of the bar. What kind of bar are you? Are you a bar that's built around, we do magic tricks, and you're coming in because you want to see what the next escalation is? Or are you a neighborhood place like us where we do all these things, but it's in purpose of making the best version of the bar we know how?